casual YouTube is. I was watching a live stream with that Star Wars girl, and she had to, I don't know, let the dog out or something. So during the live stream, she just takes a half minute off to go let the dog out. That's what's cool about YouTube. It's kind of like a cross between radio and TV, but it's allowing people to get in front of a camera who just would never have the opportunity otherwise. Anyway, this tweet is by Gail Simone. And if you don't know who Gail Simone is, well, you're probably pretty lucky. It means you've never read anything she's written. She is a hardcore feminist, just to the point of I think she actually has an issue with men. She says, I haven't been keeping up with Comics Kate, and I went down the rabbit hole for a small bit last night. Good Lord, what a train wreck. They hate each other more than they hate us now. Okay, first of all, I don't believe... When I read this, I didn't think about it, and then a second later, it started to occur to me. I get the feeling some of these anti-Comicsgate people are following Comicsgate pretty closely. They have to be, because they know what... Otherwise, they have no idea what they're complaining about. I'm sure a lot of them are dipping in their waters into Ethan's live streams and some of the other big shows. So, if she hasn't been keeping up with Comicsgate, then how did she know what happened literally just yesterday? Over the weekend was the implosion of Comicsgate. So how did you know, Gail? Did someone send you something? She didn't mention that. I have a feeling she's probably in the Comicsgate. She has her YouTube playing. Anyway, this guy says he works at a comic book store. Some guy stopped reading Thor because Jane. This is one of those stories. And everyone clapped. I work at a comic store, and a customer told me how he stopped reading Thor because of Jane Foster. Sure he did. I said that's why I started reading it again. Well, not many people read Jane Foster's Thor. It was a story. Actually, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't. I heard people complain about it. I read it. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it wasn't great. I mean, it was about a woman dying of cancer, and that is a real heavy cross to bear. And every time she turned into Thor, her cancer treatments would get cleaned out or something, so it wasn't effective. So every time she turned into Thor and went back to human form, she got a little bit worse and worse, and her doctors are wondering, what the hell is wrong with this woman? We're treating her. The cancer should be at least being alleviated some degree by the treatment. It's not. So it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And if they talk about, the Jane Thor sold better than the real Thor. I think it sold better in the beginning, but if you look at the course, over the course of comics sold, it didn't. It actually sold a little bit worse. Anyway, he says, another customer wanted to, quote, read comics again and asked me what to read. I said, if the name Gail Simone is on the cover, you buy it. You go, girl. You sweetie. Gail Simone. You can find Gail Simone comics. Go pick one up, leaf through it. They're not very good. She wrote some Conan crossovers with Red Sonja and stuff, and I don't know, Batgirl and a bunch of stuff. It's not great. Real Stinky Cheese says, doesn't seem to stop their books from selling. The new Jawbreakers is over 100,000. Not bad. And then this guy is I don't understand what he's talking about. He says, yeah, but that's 121K, which based on how the Indigo is listing it is maybe 2,400 copies total. Okay. I don't understand what your point is. It's 120. The guy says, and all it does is prove the fans will pay more for comics they like, and it's a business. It's about how much money was made. Jawbreakers made more money for diversity in comics in one issue than Domino did for Gale in a whole run. Gail chimes in. She is so salty. No one bought it because he's a good writer. Sorry. Oh, Gail. Here's what's funny about the Comicsgate books. People are willing to pay a premium for these books. The premium isn't the books. The books are reasonably priced. If you get, 100 pages for $25, that's fine. And some of them are even more than 100 pages. I mean, if you look at cost per page, that's totally fine. It's the shipping that's such a killer. They got to get the books into stores. Or maybe I was thinking, what if a bunch of these different comic book Indiegogo Comicsgate guys, what if they bundled books together? What if they finished the books and just delayed some of the releases and did a crowdfunding together, so you could buy 3 books at one time, because the cost of shipping 3 books is almost the same as the cost of shipping one, and sometimes it literally is the same. So if it's $10 for one book, you can pay like $12 for 3 books. And I realize it's a little bit more money, but the average sale for Cyberfrog was $60. Average sale for Jawbreakers was $40. So people aren't afraid to spend money on these premium books. It's just that we hate paying for shipping. Nobody just wants to throw money away. Obviously, the other answer to that question is to put the books in the stores, because they save on shipping too when you send a bundle of 50 books. But getting them in the stores is going to be a challenge, and it might not ever happen, and that's okay. Oh, and then this guy, I haven't checked out his Twitter. He's SJW Wonder Woman, and I think he's a pretty high-level troll. He says, "Did you read the garbage they're putting out? It's an embarrassment. How can people not see that it has nothing to offer? All their hate-filled rhetoric just proves they won't last another year. This is garbage, and I just want to mock and burn this book." And then he includes the brand. That's by Antonio Bryce and Kanan White. Brand preview PDF on Dropbox. And I think the reason he's doing this is because if you open that up, you'll see how good the comic is. Brand is actually very, very good. And then Gail catches on to the end and says, "Sure, this conversation seems totally legit, not staged at all." And I'm sure it is, because we'll see. Oh, he comes back a little bit later. Okay, so this other guy says, "Now we've just been dredging the river. From the outside, things may appear all sorts of effed up, but once the soot settles, it'll be right back to business again as usual. By the way, have you seen these amazing Cyberfrog books? So pretty. Share it around." Yeah, Cyberfrog looks amazing. And then she comes back to this weird, she says, "Sure, authentic person. Good luck with that. Right back at you." What kind of reply is that? Cyberfrog is killing it. Jawbreakers and Cyberfrog are good books. Gail Simone does not write good books. Okay, so there's a bunch of far left people making fun of Comicsgate as well. They should. We make fun of them. They make fun of us. It should be in good fun. But some of the things they're saying is like, angry, hateful people always collapse under the weight of their own stupidity, and someone called them evil. Comicsgate isn't evil. I mean, it's a diverse group of people made up of all different types of people. And I think of Comicsgate, I'm defining Comicsgate as just people who support independent comics, an alternative to the mainstream, the big 3 or 4. And Comicsgate isn't going away. Ethan Van Sciver and Diversity in Comics are not going away. Your boy Zach are not going away. Comicsgate is growing. It's been, 2 years old? The first year was over $1 million, and the second year is going to be more than that. It's not, people aren't, we're not abandoning comics, because the only way you could end Comicsgate is if Marvel and DC did 180 and actually wrote good comics. That'll never happen. That's never going to happen. They're literally, figuratively, they are locked into their ideology. For them to, they would have to fire the far left ideologues, the writers and the editors. You would have to fire 50 people at Marvel and DC, and that's just not going to happen. And then, okay, SJW Wonder Woman, I guess, is pulling their legs a little bit. He says, "I looked into the creative team on Brand, and they were pretty cool and professional, talented, and lots of heart. Comicsgate may be a total mess, but this is good. Sorry I went off on it earlier. Even heroes in capes make mistakes. Check out Brand, everybody." Yeah, check out Brand. It looks very, very good. The SJWs really don't like Brand because of the T-shirt on the Santa Claus character. Ask me about my feminist agenda, but that is a phenomenal. I love that artwork, and actually he has T-shirts available. I forget the company, but if you go to Indiegogo, it'll give you the link, or you go to Antonio Bryce's channel on YouTube, it'll give you the link on how to get those T-shirts. They're really cool. $71,000. His first Kickstarter, I think he said he actually lost money on it, or didn't make very much money on it. And he was trying to get Ethan's attention for a little reboost, and he did, and he turned out to be really funny. Got on Ethan's show. He's a very, very funny guy, and Kanan White is a talented artist. So he got this thing published and got this thing $71,000. That's why isn't why aren't the people at Marvel and DC? Why isn't Gail Simone congratulating this guy for breaking into comics, breaking into the industry? Doesn't it seem a little weird that they completely ignore this guy because he's... So you're saying this guy Antonio Bryce is a hateful, bigoted racist? That's what you're saying? He's a racist? He's plot twist. He's not a racist. He's just some guy who wants to write comics, and everyone in Comicsgate are just guys who want to write comics, and the occasional girl who wants to write comics. I was actually going to make this a 2-subject video about the what's going on with CB Sapolsky. It's hysterical, but I see that I'm already at 10 minutes, so it's going on too long. This is Gail Simone. She has a lot of hate in her heart for men. She really, really has some serious issues. 45-year-old hairdresser, which is cool. It's actually hairdressing is actually a pretty good job to go into. But her books are so full of identity politics. They're so far left, and they're so anti-man and misandrous. It's really kind of creepy. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe.